It is the 200 level. Mike Carpenter in the basement studio doing something that I haven't done a whole lot for football, which is going live, not just during the second half. That'd be way too long. The fourth quarter. And this is not the podcast I was hoping to have or expecting to have for that matter. Illinois looks awful. And their defense is atrocious. Their players are continually making stupid-ass plays and putting themselves in bad positions that they otherwise would not need to be in, and that you can ill afford in a game like this. It is a parade of errors, not the least of which was a 3rd and 18 just converted by Washington as we go into the fourth quarter. Let's start with the conversation that all of you will be having and should be having. I want to start, and by the way, there's going to be curse words in this episode, so close your ears if that is something that bothers you, but I'll try to use discretion. There's an old adage, don't shit where you eat, and that is used for relationships. Don't get in a relationship maybe with someone that you work with, because it's going to be that much more difficult to distance yourself from them. I'm afraid that that is coming home to roost with Aaron Henry as defensive coordinator. Being a former Bret Bielema player, and we get a flag here late on the defense. We're underway in the fourth quarter. Being a former player of Bret Bielema and being someone that Bret Bielema continues to talk highly of and seemingly protect means that Aaron Henry is likely going to be the defensive coordinator going into next year as well, barring a terrible end of the season. If you are going to talk about being this program that competes at a high level in the Big Ten and maybe gets a sniff at college football playoffs, I can't take you seriously if this is the product that I see on one of your 3 units. I can't take you seriously in that regard. And I say all that recognizing what Bret Bielema has done to elevate this program. But what I'm also looking at right now is an opportunity for a season that could have been excellent and still could be very good with a 9-3 record. You'll take that no matter how you get to it. But is being hamstrung by one unit, which is atrocious. And there is no excuse. Xavier Scott, whatever you want to say, there is no excuse for the defense with all these returning players now having given up 34 points, soon to be 35, to suck this much. You had a bye week to not look awful. And yet here you are, embarrassing yourselves on the road again. The game's over. The game's over. So this might not be a very long podcast after I get my rant out. You had no excuse to go in there and get your bell rung in this game, and it appears that's what's going to happen. Could the offense have done more? Sure. Could Josh Kreutz not make stupid penalties? Sure. Could Brandon Henderson not be a complete moron and force you into 3rd and 20? Sure. Could Hudson Clement catch a goddamn ball? Sure. But the defense is awful. And now I'm wondering, what am I going to be rooting for the rest of this year? And hear me out on this for a second. This cannot stand. Aaron Henry as your defensive coordinator cannot stand if you want to truly be a consistent winner. The proof is out there. They are near the bottom of the Big Ten in almost every single statistical category. It's not just the eye test. The numbers back this up. And while I could sit here and harangue Aaron Henry, tongue twister, let's not lose sight of who's at the top and who made this call in the first place, and that's Bret Bielema. What often happens with this podcast, and it happened last year with the guys at the boardroom, I heavily criticized Brad Underwood for a season that got away from them when it did not have to. I don't think this season's necessarily going to get away from this Illinois team because the next 4 opponents they play kind of suck. And I'm still keeping Northwestern in that area. But the problem is now that is in doubt in a way that it should not be for a team with all these returning guys. That is a failure of Bret Bielema to bring back a defensive coordinator who, despite a few good games last year, the people in that building probably know it ain't working. Can't really say anything, though. It's your head coach's golden boy. It's the one he protects in press conferences saying, well, I need to help guide him along. Well, then guide him along. Aren't you a defensive guy? Guide him along. Don't let him just go out there with this walkie-talkie and call a bunch of nonsense and give up 90-yard drives like it's nothing, as if that's normal in a rainy, wet environment. Washington's having no problem with the ball. Yeah, they fumbled it a couple times. We are allergic to making plays and falling on it ourselves. But the problem is the only way this defense works is if you do get takeaways. And guess what? Against teams worth a shit, you don't. At least not as much. So we will start and probably end this podcast with a very simple message or thesis, whatever you want to call it. It ain't working with Aaron Henry. And they can find their way to an 8-4 or 9-3 record, but it won't be because of the defense. But my concern is that Bret Bielema will somehow try to polish this turd and keep his guy around because of whatever loyalty he might feel towards him. Unacceptable. Not for a program that's getting this NIL money, not for a program that got a $100 million gift from Geese. You want to be a big boy program. You aren't that far away from it. The record speaks for itself, but don't lose this window of opportunity because you are acquiescing a shit unit on the football field. Don't lose that opportunity because of loyalty, unwarranted loyalty to someone that's never been a defensive coordinator again, and at this level probably won't be either. It's not working. It is a minor league defense. Any offense worth the salt, and even ones bad like Purdue, have been able to carve their way through it. And I've tried to go with, well, listen, they're going to give up yardage. That's what they do. They don't do anything well. They don't tackle. They don't create takeaways. They don't do anything well on that side of the ball. So what is the point, I ask, of keeping this system in place when it objectively does not work? Before I get too far ahead of myself, and I'm going to get to whatever comments are in there, I want to thank my sponsors because there has been a lot of positive stuff on this podcast, deservedly so. But right now, this is going to be one of those angry podcasts. And that was my emotional part of it. I will try to be level-headed as we watch the rest of this fourth quarter, trailing 35-17. I will try my best, but I cannot guarantee anything. Hamilton Walker, Steak, Seafood, and Spirits in downtown Champaign. Got to thank them, along with State Farm agent Brian Hansen, online at brianismyguide.com. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend. Give them a call, 217-841-4728. And Owen Builders, LLC. Hello, Luke. I see you in there. Check out a gallery of their home improvement projects that they've worked on and get a free quote at owenbuildersllc.com. Throughout this fourth quarter, as long as we're on here, I will hit those sponsors up intermittently. So I appreciate them and appreciate you for tuning in. We got a lot of people in there that are probably not feeling great. So whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, line up that comment section. I will get to as many of these as I can, and we can share in our anger together because I think this is justifiable anger to be playing like this. And there's another interception. You do have a flag, and it looks like it might be, well, we'll see. Regardless, this is an unacceptable performance. And it's not like Ryan Walters' defense is I'm not even going to go with that narrative. I'm not going to touch it. It's not about Ryan Walters. It's the fact that you didn't hire an actual defensive coordinator after an 8-win season when Ryan Walters left. You promoted from within. Okay, fine. If you're going to do that, then you should have a little bit more faith that the guy's going to be able to do his job. But that's not happening. Personal foul, roughing the passer. Illinois gets a break there. Let's hit the comment section, see what you guys got to say. Luke says fire Aaron Henry now. Well, it's not going to happen now, Luke, and my concern is it's not going to happen at the end of the year either. The Bart Miller experience. Aaron Henry and the staff had 2 weeks to plan for this game. Embarrassing. They had the Michigan tape last week that shows that you can actually get this deep offense out of sorts if you get to the quarterback. But then Aaron Henry says, well, what we're going to do is just the same drop 8 guys, or really the defensive line. There have been a few times where they sent 4 or 5. They aren't getting home. And you're letting a guy, a 19-year-old quarterback, get comfortable. When last week it was the exact opposite. He had no chance to get comfortable out there, and he stunk in the second half. Well, he looks like a world beater along with the rest of the Washington offense today. And I'm not going to take Barry Lenny off the hook here because this offense should have more than 17 points. But there's some knuckleheaded individual plays by the offensive line and jelly hands from Hudson Clement that have really strangled you a little bit with what you could maybe accomplish offensively. But it is maddening to go into a game like this, which is totally winnable. 3.5-point spread tells you that essentially this is a pick 'em. It is a 3-point advantage for whatever team is at home. That is Vegas saying, you know what? We aren't sure about this Washington team. And there was plenty on tape this year to suggest that, yes, Washington has a high ceiling, but they can also look out of sorts at times. So we go in there with the defensive game plan of we're going to keep everything in front of us. Problem is you suck at that too. So again, I ask, what do you do well here? What is it that you do here? I just am flummoxed. Because here's the deal. I'll say this one more time so there's not anything misconstrued. I'm happy with where this football program is at. It's in a very good place, in one of the best places in my lifetime, and certainly since I've been a fan of rooting interest. Old enough to know what's going on because I don't really remember what was going on with the John Malkovich era. I was too young for that. I appreciate all that. I appreciate the game day Saturdays I can look forward to and feel like we got a chance in basically anything. That's something I've not experienced. However, it is okay from a fan's perspective to say, wait a second. If the expectations have raised, so too can our critiques if things look bad. And right now they look unnecessarily bad. After a bye week, on the road, against a team that is quite good, but aren't you supposed to be quite good as well? Instead, we're looking at a season that, if this game ends the way it looks like it will be 5-3 with embarrassments at Indiana. While this margin isn't as bad, I would say this is an embarrassing effort. And then you have the Ohio State loss, which is whatever. But the problem is what that does is mitigate a lot of the good for maybe the USC win or the Duke win. It shows that this team can get big wins. But they've been doing it despite a defense that is a sieve that you can just cut through like Swiss cheese. So, I could sit here and try to get gritty with the numbers, but you see it. We all see it. It's not good enough. Illinois going for 2 here. I don't know if now is the time to do that because a field goal still makes it extra point would still make it a field goal and 2-point conversion. I guess you would need it at some point. And they get it. Cole Rusk. So it's a 10-point game. It's just not good enough. And we can call it what it is. From D-Dubs, so frustrating. They gave you chances, couldn't capitalize. D-Dubs, there were fumbles on the field, and you're like, I don't want it. I don't want any part of it. I understand that there is a bit of luck involved with fumbles. I understand that. But stop being allergic to making plays. And again, this goes back to this notion that you're running a defense that is predicated on better turn the ball over or I don't know what's going to happen. Because they sure as hell aren't stopping anyone on third down. They had a 3rd and 18, and they couldn't stop that. I want to go back to one play that particularly angers me. And this play was a screen pass to a Washington wide receiver who then threw it to the running back for an easy score. What blows my mind is that this is a defense predicated on keeping things in front of them and playing very vanilla defense. And yet they were aggressively pursuing this wide receiver screen as if this guy was about to bust a 20-yarder, leaving that entire side of the field empty. What the hell are we doing here? They look like they've never seen a reverse play in their life. And Jed, excuse me, probably knew that they would bite on it because he's seen enough tape to realize this is not a well-coached unit. Missed opportunities with turnovers, missed tackles, blown coverages. These don't happen on accident. They are not coincidental. This is a coaching issue. So it is Aaron Henry and it's Bret Bielema. My excitement in this program will take a serious nosedive if we see another offseason where Bret Bielema does not make significant changes on the defensive staff. And yes, I'm not talking about the position coaches, though you can do that too. It's the guy at the top. You think someone else is going to come in and poach Aaron Henry? I said back in the Bruce Weber era, at least the tail end of it when I was back on the radio, look at the fact that no one wanted Jay Price or Wayne McClain or whoever the third guy was. It was the same three guys the entire time. No one wanted them to be head coach. Well, then you don't have a staff worth anything. You don't. Not in that era, at least, because that was the idea. You would be a good assistant, and then you would build your resume, and you go coach somewhere. No one is going to poach Aaron Henry away from you, which tells you right then and there, without any further digging, that he's not a coordinator worth keeping yourselves. So that is a decision by Bret Bielema that in year 3, you might be able to get an 8 or 9 win season still, despite this. I mean, remember after the Indiana game, we could have easily said after that, oh, this team's going to struggle to get 7 wins. And they bounce back. And I would expect the same thing against Rutgers next week, where somehow the defense still gives up 450 freaking yards, but maybe only 24 points. That's football. And I wish I could give you a more confident prediction as to why the defense would play better. I don't know if they necessarily will. I just think that Rutgers probably doesn't have the playmakers Washington does. So you just inevitably will bounce back. That's football. That's Bret Bielema, usually, who does a good job after a loss. But there was no excuse for this game or the Purdue game or the freaking third, fourth quarter of the USC game to give no resistance at all. So it's twofold. It's Aaron Henry. It's Bret Bielema. And Bret Bielema does a lot of things well. And I'm glad he's the head coach. And I think he'll be the head coach here for a long time and have plenty of successful seasons. There are Iowa fans that speak negatively of Kirk Ferentz. And they have justifiable reasons to do that. But they also would acknowledge that, hey, listen, like, we're criticizing him, but we're glad he's the coach. These two things can be held at the same time. And you aren't a hypocrite for saying, I like what Bret Bielema does mostly, but this thing is worth critiquing. And I think that a lot of us are there right now because we're watching this game where Washington, okay, if there was any resistance on this drive for Washington as they have the ball at the 25, I will eat a hat. I will find a hat. I'll eat it on air. And we have an easy 10-yard, 15, 20-yard completion. They suck. They are poorly coached and don't even know. There's no urgency. You're down by 10. Do something. No, how about we go down 17 and then make that last touchdown a wash? And it goes to a 3-possession game yet again. I joked, and it was a joke because I knew it wasn't going to happen with Trevor and Isaac during one of Washington's drives. Don't worry, guys. We'll hold them to a field goal. Bullshit, we will. We can't stop them. We can't stop any offense worth a damn, and sometimes not even the bad ones. Enough. This is not an era in college football where you need to hold on or retain staff that doesn't do their job effectively. You don't need to. Move the hell on. Hit to the head, defense. Bunch of freaking morons. And who's this on? 23. Help me out. Who's 23 here? Angelo McCollum. Sure. Why not? So all these guys, you got the McCollums, you got the Kreutzes of the world, you got the Clements, you got the Brandon Hendersons. You got a growing list of guys that have done dumb shit today. A growing list of it. That's coaching. When it's happening over and over again, when they continue to be put into bad positions, that sometimes a penalty like that is the result of being in a bad position in the first place. And you're just kind of scrambling out there as a defender. Oh, shoot, my hand hit his head. Here's a deep pass. It is going to be incomplete. Chill, Matthew Bailey. He's waving like it was the biggest play ever. Triple coverage. Good stop, but like scoreboard. All right, what else do we got in here? Blockhead. They don't even line up half the time. Yes. This dog and pony show with the substitutions, it annoys opponents. It's starting to annoy me too. Because then you got guys looking like, wait, what's the call? They're looking at each other like, what? Okay. Again, coaching. That's all fine and good if they actually knew what they were doing. But they don't. So this whole personnel rotation stuff is kind of useless at that point if they don't know what they're doing. Who cares if you got fresh bodies if they aren't making any plays in the first place? They should be fresh as a daisy right now. Seems like, I know it's been wet and cold out there, but there's no cramping because they ain't hot. And they keep rotating guys in whenever Washington does. Well, I wouldn't elongate this game anymore. I would actually try to have these plays go as quickly as possible because you're up against it with time if you want to make some miracle comeback. But God dang it, stop hamstringing yourself with 3rd and 6. Do we want to take bets as to what happens? I hate to sound like a cynical, sarcastic jerk here, but do we want to take bets as to what happens on a 3rd and 6? They're 7 for 8 on 3rd downs today. Of course they are. Of course they are. It's a drop back after a fake handoff. It's an easy first down completion. And Miles Scott, your senior safety, doesn't know how to tackle. It needs to get loud this week. There needs to be other people following this team, and I imagine there will be, that call out this bullshit. This is unacceptable. You went into this season yourselves talking about playoff. There is one unit on this team that is going to prevent you for sure from doing that. One unit. And they had most of their guys coming back. And I don't want to hear about Xavier Scott. He's very good. But if he's out there, do you expect this to be a defense suddenly worth a damn? Maybe they gave up, let's say, I'll grant you this. They gave up one less score a game. Well, that's not going to do much for you today or against Ohio State, and certainly not against Indiana. You'd be right where you were, still with a defense that doesn't know how to keep things in front of them, despite that being their supposed calling card. You yourselves, as a program, set these expectations. You took the victory lap as you should have after the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. You should have done that, and that was a big win, and it was actually a good day for Aaron Henry. Now we're finding out Lenore Sellers isn't all that great anyway. Maybe it was Aaron Henry that gave everybody the tape. But regardless, you had an entire offseason to maybe fix the things that ailed you. Go out, get transfers in. I'm looking at defense. I don't know who the playmakers are. I don't know what they do well. And I'm thinking, wait a second. Okay, Aaron Henry's the defensive coordinator. No, it's Bret Bielema. So that's what I want to hear this week from people that have a voice, that follow this team. I can do it from the fans' perspective and rant and rave all I want to. And that's fine. But it's getting to the point where if that defense sucks again against Rutgers, we need to hear it in Memorial Stadium. When they give up another 3rd down and 20, they need to hear it. Because this is not amateur athletics the way that you might have grown up or I grew up. It's not anymore. It's semi-professional, big money athletics. And if we are to be taken seriously, as I think we all want to do, and Bret Bielema more than anybody, then that needs to be better. All right, what else do we got here? From Blockhead, there are 17 analysts on the staff and a bye week. Yeah. Bart Miller, I love Olin Kreutz. Me too, Bart. But the Kreutz brothers are, well, not that good. I mean, listen, toughness and whatever only goes so far. And I'm with you on that, Bart Miller. It's Bart Miller experience. And again, Bart Miller, I guess the offensive line isn't your biggest issue today, but I'm seeing offensive linemen make stupid plays. It's just another guy I'm asking, what do you do here? What do you do here? Because I keep hearing that this guy's fantastic at his job, and I keep hearing that Aaron Henry is a phenom, or it at least appears to be viewed that way by Bret Bielema, and I'm not seeing any receipts that actually show that to be the case. So, and then you know what makes this all the more depressing on top of this? This is a Washington team that got humbled last week. So maybe I should have expected that they would come out guns blazing, ready to fix what had happened against Michigan, against this Illinois team. Maybe I should have expected that. I mean, 9 yards. There's no resistance. They suck, and they look dejected, and they look like, well, we can't do anything. That's my problem overall. If I'm going to go macro here, one team looks like they wanted a hell of a lot more than you do. You had technically a college football playoff on the line. I know, don't make me laugh. But you technically did have that opportunity on the line with your November schedule. This was the one roadblock that would have been standing in your way. You had a bye week to prepare for it, and you look like the team coming off 6 straight games, and they look like the team coming off the bye week fresh as a daisy. What the hell is that about? So we're done with the Bret Bielema bye week bullshit. We're done with that. This is a big old strike against that, just like Purdue at home last year, where you struggled to win in overtime. Oh, right. Who's the defensive coordinator that gave up 49 points to Ryan Brown on an offense called by a guy who's not even an offensive coordinator? Give me a break. Move on. All right, what else do we got there? From Jake, really can't complain about the officiating today. Hell no. You have a touchdown on the board thanks to a pass interference that wasn't. So I got no complaints about the officiating today. D-dubs, I can't eat a hat, man. I can't eat a hat. I wanted to after that third down, but we knew what was going to happen on a 3rd and 6. They're 8 of 9 on third down now. Why wouldn't they be? A cool 89%? Is that right? 91%? That, no big, 91%, I think, is the number. That's NFL blitz numbers. I go 8 for 9 on NFL blitz on third down if I even get to third down. And I just play the bomb over and over, that same play over and over. But Washington might as well do the same thing. Look at this. Oh, my God. An easy little tight end, find him out there. Yeah, and they're doing the big balls dance. Cool. Or maybe that's the 6-7 dance. I don't know. I'm old and out of touch. What can I tell you? What an embarrassment. This pisses me off. Sorry, Eda Hat is still on the board. Sorry about that there, D-Dubs. St. Dominic asks, Carp, who is Bielema beat that was good besides South Carolina? If Lincoln Riley didn't suck so much at his job, I would say USC. But Lincoln Riley's a putz. So, and Duke, if Manny Diaz wasn't such a putz himself, then those are 2 wins that are probably pretty good against talented teams. But unfortunately, your losses, you just look like you suck. Pretty sure Bielema is like the 4th or 5th highest paid coach in the Big Ten. And when you consider what he inherited and what he's built, I think that's fair. I'm not trading Bret Bielema for many people, not named Kurt Signetti. Okay, so, again, this conversation is going to sound as if I'm saying fire Bret Bielema. But that's not what I'm saying. But he is in a position to keep this thing humming. And there is something drastically getting in the way of that. It's interesting, too. He had the ability to come out after the Ohio State game and essentially criticize Barry Lundy for not going quick enough, or not enough pace quick enough. I don't hear him ever go after Aaron Henry. And if he ever does, he sort of puts a buffer there so as to not hurt the feelings of his young phenom D coordinator. You know what people don't like? They don't like, in a merit-based anything, when someone who has not earned it gets that position. Now, Aaron Henry could have earned that within his first 3 years as defensive coordinator. Like, you got to get your first defensive coordinating job at some point. You have to. They start as position coaches, and then you take a chance. Ryan Walters was the defensive coordinator before you brought him over. Okay, but that's not always the case, and I understand that. But people, and fans, get really frustrated if they feel that someone is being protected when there is no reason for them to be protected. You are now trailing by 3 scores, which is pretty much just what Tim Beckman did in 2014 in Washington. And instead of a couple plays away from this being a better game, you're about 17 plays, just like Tim Beckman in 2014. This game had no reason to be like that. A 19-year-old quarterback is shredding your defense, and he's a very talented 19-year-old quarterback, but you have put up no fight whatsoever. You've done nothing good defensively all game. So winning cures all. Winning makes those Monday press conferences a lot more fun to watch. But it's the kind of thing now where when Aaron Henry takes the podium, everyone in that room knows it's not serious. And in this regard, and this is going to sound patronizing a little bit, but I feel a little bad for him because he's clearly not cut out for this yet. I think he's my age. And he had never done it before, a decent secondary coach, but then again, I think I could probably teach Devin Witherspoon how to play ball. And on the backs of that secondary, Ryan Walters gets a head coaching job and Aaron Henry gets a defensive coordinating job. I understand if this all sounds redundant and like I'm just regurgitating it at this point, but I'm watching this game and there's not even anything worth a damn calling in this fourth quarter. There's not a play that can say, oh, guys, check this out. Because even if we scored again, Washington will score again themselves. So it doesn't matter at this point. Ryan Walters is going to have a really good night because on the other side, his former coach, who they clearly did not part gracefully, has not figured out how to run a defense since he's left. And that is very frustrating. I think that Bret Bielema, what I appreciate about him, go back to his first year. Tony Peterson ran a pretty bad offense. Oh, look. Oh, is that a false start? So everybody on the offensive line is getting into the act today. This one's on Melvin Priestley. They're all looking at each other and they're talking like, what just happened there? Like they didn't have 2 weeks to plan this shit and actually put a game forth to not be embarrassed about. Okay, but let me regress to the point. Tony Peterson fired after 1 year, as he should have been. It was still kind of a surprise, though, because they went 5-7. It was an improvement, but Bret Bielema said not good enough. Why is this any different? And I think we know why, because there is a human element to this. And he coached Aaron Henry and probably loves him as an individual. And by the way, I say all this, guys, all of that, he might be the greatest guy in the world. I've not said one thing. I'm talking about professionally speaking. Aaron Henry is not doing his job, or he's not doing the job he was hired to do. And I maybe haven't done a good job of balancing what I think is the true issue here, which is he was not ready for it, and he's clearly not. So I don't know what Bret Bielema did these last 2 weeks. I don't know what he did in the offseason in terms of addressing whatever talent deficiencies there might be on defense. But it wasn't enough. And there's a couple other things that, I will throw out there as well. Not that it matters too much. It's about wins. It's not about rankings or anything. But, you will not be ranked after this. Okay. And there's not a single win left on the schedule that's going to get you back in that ranking. I say that only because I remember back in, when I was younger, I would go through media guides and, oh, man, look at Makovic. He was ranked a bunch. Listen, it's amazing how often Bret Bielema has had ranked teams at Illinois. That's cool and worth celebrating, but that's probably over. Okay, that's one. College football playoff, well, that's dead. And we're probably looking at the Music City Bowl, which fortunately for all of us is now sponsored by Liberty Mutual. So the Limu Emu is going to be there. And maybe Doug, if we're lucky too. We might get lucky and Doug might be patrolling the sidelines at the Limu Emu Music City Bowl, which the name was fine as it is. There's another pick there as things are getting out of hand. And Luke's forcing the issue. And he's not had a good game himself. But just an all-out failure today. And a team that has 4 winnable games left. And then the question is, okay, well, what are they going to do? 9-3 would still feel good. But the way that they've lost these sort of yardstick games it doesn't leave a good feeling in one's stomach. My friend Kenton, who we've been working on the tailgate trailer. Do we torch the trailer? Hell no, man. I'll be sitting with you watching the Rutgers game next week. And again, they're probably going to beat Rutgers, guys. They probably are, and probably by a couple scores. And then they get a bye week, and they'll probably beat Maryland because Maryland's just dumb. They are. And then they'll beat Wisconsin because Wisconsin's essentially an FCS school now. Guys, all this and 9-3 is still there, but the problem is that's just going to mask the fact that you don't have a defensive coordinator. And that it doesn't appear like your head coach is going to do anything about it. So, very frustrating. From St. Dominic, have absolutely no idea what Bret was doing. Rutgers is awful. Almost lost to Purdue. Yeah, no, that's the thing, guys. All of this said, and I still think that you're going to win these. I mean, I thought this was going to be a longer pod that we could go until the end of the fourth quarter, but now it's over. The game is over. This will be one of the shortest podcasts. And you can only say so much, but this is from St. Dominic's. Bret knows how to run a defense. It's called firing Aaron Henry, but he won't fire his friends. Same thing he did at Arkansas. Arkansas, Bret strikes again. Bret is who he is, a mediocre coach. I would not go that far. But this is a glaring flaw, St. Dominic, and I love your passion. And I know I've had a lot of that today, but it is a glaring flaw, and it is worth being called out. I know that the likes of, Jeremy and Joey will have some pointed questions about the defense in the press conference today. I'm sure we'll get all the empty platitudes from Aaron Henry on Monday, which, again, what else is he going to say? Again, you're putting him in a bad position. Make me the defensive coordinator, and the defense is going to suck too. Aaron Henry knows a thing or two more about it, but that doesn't mean that he was ready to be a guy in this position. That is a massive miss by Bret Bielema. It just is. I mean, guys, go back to last year, the Rutgers game. You took the lead, you gave it right back. And thank God for the miracle touchdown at the end that got you in the Citrus Bowl and not Rutgers. Go back to the Purdue game. You might not even be having that conversation if you don't have an offense put up 50. Think if you're Barry Lunny in the offense. And I feel like I've talked to Harry about this, where when you're on a team, it is what it is. You just do your job. And the frustration to other units, if they aren't holding up their end of the bargain, isn't maybe what you would think it would be. But come on, man. Barry Lunny and his offense have put 25 points on the board today. That should be enough to make this a competitive fourth quarter, but it's not. Oh, boy, there's going to be another first down for Damon Williams. I kind of hope it is. At this point, I hope the hits keep coming. This is embarrassing. And I think that is a first down. They might be marking him short, but I think he got it. Yeah, he got it. It's all been there. All of this has been there. It's been right in front of our face. And that doesn't take away a 10-win season. That doesn't take away a few of the good performances this defense has had. But when I can count on one hand the good defensive performances and I can count on three the shit ones, well, that kind of tells you what kind of coordinator you have, which is to say not one worthy of keeping. So it's frustrating. I'm sorry. I made a drink and I haven't touched this all podcast. Oh, my God. It zaps the fun out of it. Listen, you're 5-3. You'll probably win next week. I still think that. But everybody knows this is a 5-alarm fire. They've scored touchdowns on 6 of 7 of their drives. I want to give credit here to, and I knew that in the back of my head, Chief Oski, but I hadn't looked it up, right? I knew there was only one time where they didn't, and there you go. Thank you, Chief Oski. 6 of 7. And if this wasn't just trying to, they call fourth down. Well, if I'm Washington, I go for it. I don't give a shit. Who cares? Go for it. Have fun. We're having fun out here. They are going for it. Yeah. Illinois fans should be angry. You should be angry. And I'm sorry if they pull any of this crap against Rutgers and you got a 3rd and long, then and you boo them. That's fine. We are past the point of this collegiate athlete thing being what it used to be. I know they're trying their best, but this is a big money thing. And are you really booing the players, or are you booing the coaching staff, not putting them in positions to succeed? We know what the answer is to that. And I think the players do too. And what you're really saying, if you voice your displeasure, if things don't go well next week, you're saying, Bret, this ain't good enough. And here's the worrisome thing. What if the 4 opponents that you play just suck so bad, and you go 9-3, and then somehow that justifies keeping this staff in place on that side of the ball? Now, I'll take the 9 wins. But what if it's 8-4 with a bad loss where you give up, 35 to Wisconsin? Let's just say, worst case scenario. And you laugh, and I think that'd be a little bit outlandish, but I don't know. I can't trust this defense against anybody. So would you take 9-3 and keeping Aaron Henry, or would you take a bad loss to get to 8-4 and fire Aaron Henry? He just ran in the punter. You just absolutely leveled him. It's going to be Washington ball. This team is allergic to making plays. It's unbelievable. A bye weekend, they come out, now we're talking shit. Walk to the sideline. You're down 3 scores late in the game. Mac Redisich went on the block. He's saying he tipped it, and he's not going to get that benefit of the doubt. He was right there. And he didn't touch anything close to the ball. He did touch the punter's knee, thighs, and pretty much every single bit of his leg. But somehow he completely missed the ball, despite it being right freaking in front of him. We suck today. And there's no reason why they should. Joseph, coming off a bye week, it's embarrassing. And even if it weren't Joseph, even if it weren't coming off a bye week, it would still be unacceptable. But this is a Washington team that was licking their wounds 6 straight games. And they're playing so much more inspired ball than you are. That is concerning. You get a bye week after Rutgers, too. They're going to look at this and say they touch it. I don't know. Did he touch it? I don't think he did. Doesn't matter anyway. How about you block it next time? You were right there. The punter was right freaking in front of you. Get a hand on the ball and block it. But no, we're just going to hit his kneecap. Between that and James Croots looking like he's never seen a football in his life, and 2 fumbles where you're like, what ball? Oh, darn it. Make a freaking play. You look like Purdue. God, man, that's just frustrating. It doesn't make the rest of the year irrelevant. It doesn't. But if you go into an off season and there's not changes made defensively, and I don't think there will be, I'll believe it when I see it. How does that not just hang like a stench of cow manure all the way from the South Farms over the offseason? How does that not just reek? You got the money. Hey, donors, I don't know who you are or how much say you have, but donors, make some noise, man. Like this, it's different out there. Coaches have to go a little bit here with what ruling upheld. Yeah, there you go. So the challenge on the punt. No, donors, like the ones that are giving money to the program, like the big money. Larry Geese, I know you don't have personnel decisions, but you were able to wear an Illinois football jersey and go into the locker room after you got the naming rights. So maybe you just say, hey, Brett, I'll throw another $25 million if you actually get a defensive staff worth of shit. Because right now, this ain't it. They've regressed considerably. And that is a coaching failure, abject failure. So, yeah. There's nothing more to say, guys. I've been here 42 minutes just complaining about this, but it just really ticks me off in a way that I did not anticipate was going to happen today. And you're just getting absolutely schooled. And Washington's going to go for another score. I mean, they have a college football playoff to consider, and you don't. Why? Oh, right. Yeah, because your defense sucks. And that's just what it is. I can't even say, they could be better. I'm anxious to hear what Jeremy and Joey talk about because I know that they often do not mince words. I feel like they try to be a little bit more patient. And I have tried. Oh, my God, I've tried. Well, I know they gave up yardage to USC. And, against Ohio State, they had a lot of short fields. They were at the bottom of the Big Ten in almost every category, like bottom 5. In almost every category for a team returning all that from a 10-win season. They stink. Your coaches stink. So figure it out, Brett. I mean, I like you a lot. I'm glad you're here. But this is unacceptable. And I got to think he cares more. But I'm just really curious and a little bit frightened to think what effect loyalty has and how much that can blind someone to something staring them right in the face. That concerns me. Well, I thank you all for tuning in. For those that are watching, I hope this provided some sort of catharsis. I got this from Dave. Have these last couple of years been smoke and mirrors because of Luke and Lunny? Bielema has always been about defense and O-line, and both those units have sucked. Yes, they have. They haven't been good enough, Dave. I mean, the O-line at least is they are functional. But no, yeah, there's a point there. Now, I still think that the floor has been raised, but we're going to find out a lot next year, aren't we? Before I get out of here, got to thank Hamilton Walkers, downtown Champaign, steak, seafood, and spirits. Go wash down your sorrows with one of their excellent patented old fashions. Super good. It is really cool having them on with us as one of our sponsors, and just went for our anniversary about 6 weeks ago. No, just about a month ago. My God, this has been like a long October. And appreciate Nathan and the staff because every time we go, it's a 5-star experience. So if you want to feel better tonight, here's what you do. You leave the house on this cool October evening, go get a bone-in steak at Hamilton Walkers and an old-fashioned. You will feel tip-top. That I promise. State Farm agent Brian Hansen, online at brianismyguy.com. Life, auto, home, business, renters, you name it. Brian is my guy, and he could be your guy as well at brianismyguy.com. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend. Give them a call today and get that furnace check scheduled by calling 841-4728. And finally, Owen Builders LLC. Luke might still be in here. I don't know if he's a glutton for punishment like I am. And a fumble and first down for Washington. I mean, sorry, Luke, let me get the rest of your live read here. Owen Builders LLC, home improvement project. These guys are really good at what they do. Check out a gallery of their work at owenbuildersllc.com. Yeah, I would, I'm sorry. That's a joke. That is a joke. They fumbled it, and they still got the 12 yards when they needed 11. What do you know? This program, and the coaches over there, were thinking playoff. They won't sniff it. And it's because of the defense. And that's it. I mean, you can fire Aaron Henry at the end of the year. You'd be warranted to fire him now. You would. And I know for sure they won't do that. But if there's not a little press release in early December, and then for whatever bowl game naming, I don't know, Jameson is the interim D coordinator, then you aren't a program worth taking seriously. I mean, you aren't. And they've done enough to be taken seriously. So don't shoot yourselves in the foot by continuing to run out this BS unit. Don't hamstring your possible success by running it back. What's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again when it does not work. And I don't want Bret Bielema to succumb to that. That would be a major bummer, and I feel like that's an understatement because we've tasted success thanks to Bret Bielema. I don't want to lose it because of his loyalty to someone who's not cut out for the job. And that I could blame Aaron Henry for, and I do to some degree, but guess who put him there? The guy at the top. It starts with him. Illinois fans, you got to hold them accountable. Brad Underwood made a change this year. He got Cam Crocker. We'll see how it goes. He recognized something wasn't working. Might have taken him too long, but he did recognize it. He demoted Hamer to video coordinating duties or whatever it may be. If you tell Aaron Henry, hey, we're going to put you back at secondary, what's Aaron Henry going to do? Say, no, I'm going to go be a D coordinator somewhere else? No, he's not. He has no leverage. Okay. So you don't need to fire him. Keep him on staff. Go get a guy. It has to happen. I mean, it has to happen if we are to be taken seriously. I hope it does. Not because I want somebody fired, but because I don't want to see a program on the precipice of being consistently good miss that boat because of blind loyalty. All right, everybody. I'm going to go watch a scary-ass movie with my dog. Maybe The Exorcist. I need something violent, gruesome, and bloody. So that sounds pretty good right now. I'm going to actually enjoy this beverage I poured right before the podcast and have had one sip of. And I'm not going to think about Illinois football until Wednesday when we're right back here on the 200 level.